Hello and welcome to the latest of my deep dive videos. This one into the Pisces new moon of the 2nd of March 2022 in every major city bar Sydney, where it is the 3rd of March. Now on the screen now you can see exactly what time this event occurs in your location. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, as ever, what I'm going to do is discuss, first of all, what a Pisces new moon represents. I'm then going to share the event chart for this particular occasion to see how other planetary influences are informing the story of what we can expect over the next month. Now, of course, new moons is a chance to set our intentions. And the sign of Pisces can be about some of our most noble intentions, but it can also be to do with more reflective or caring strands too. And finally, I'm then going to go on to give you a forecast for each of the 12 zodiac signs, which you can watch in terms of your sun or your ascendant. The choice is yours, so please stay with me for those. If you are new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. I am roaring towards 100,000 subs, so I'd be grateful for your support. Every time I drop a video, it means you will get an alert. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, please see the link below. Been writing these for many moons. I think I'm unique amongst the YouTube astrologers for offering this service. Finally, if you want to take advantage of my special package for personal astrology, rise above your zodiac sign, pardon the pun, you can do so and get 30% off my character analysis and 12-month forecast. This will help you to understand what really makes you tick at a deeper level and can give you some profound insights. Please see the link below. So what does a Pisces new moon represent? Well, Pisces is the last of the 12 zodiac signs, so it could be said that the sun's passage through the 11 zodiac signs before it gives us an opportunity with Pisces to really look back and think, well, what did we learn from that journey? What is the accumulative knowledge? What are the lessons that have been learned? So a degree of reflection is possible for many of us. Of course, it depends on your exact zodiac sign, what the transit through Pisces represents. And as I say, I will be sharing the forecast for each of those later on in this presentation. But I think in general, it is an opportunity for us to think about the more spiritual dimension, which comes very much through Neptune. Also, anything to do with religion and also higher knowledge comes through Jupiter, growth, expansion, even travel, particularly travel linked to seas or oceans, rivers and lakes. All those things can be something that we have a much greater appreciation for. If you're someone who can't get far from where you're based, or COVID restrictions make it difficult, spending time in places where there's lots of water or where it's very healing and peaceful is certainly going to be a great thing to do over this next month. Could be a great time to have a spa treatment or to have a massage, anything which is healing and helps us just to soothe away all those aches and pains which may have accumulated in recent times would be a fabulous thing to do. Now also, Pisces people can be very big givers, and one of the areas that particularly can be productive around can be spiritual or physical health. The compassion of Pisces people is quite legendary, but Pisces can also be a sign of detachment, and if Pisces people are not so happy, they can almost be like the trout at the bottom of the river looking up at the angler above, casting his line in and very shrewdly working out how to just dive a little deeper to hide under that stone. They will not be caught. So Pisces people does have a duality, and remember the glyph shows two fishes each swimming in the opposite direction. It's also classically linked, this sign, to Christianity, certainly the glyph of the fish. So an opportunity for us to pause, reflect, take stock, help those who are less fortunate, take part in some charitable activities, be more altruistic in our approach, perhaps find ways to improve our embrace of the more spiritual or psychological dimension. The physical dimension is represented by the sign opposite Pisces of Virgo. That's very much about practical health and practical organisation. If we can find a way to unite both these polarities, we really have it cracked. So an opportunity over the next month to set our intentions to bring some healing, peace, tranquility, soothing, knowledge, a higher spiritual dimension and vibration to our world is certainly going to be a great thing to do. Now, what about this particular event? Now, on the screen now, you can see the event chart. I've based mine, as usual, on Universal Central Time, which gives us an ascendant, ironically, in the sign of Virgo, which means that all this Pisces energy pours into the 7th house. So the 7th house is very much about relating and an ability to tune into other people through the energies of Pisces would not always be through just conversation. It may be by sensing how people feel, watching for non-verbal signals, body language, but essentially being attuned to how other people may feel. But the practicality of this ascendant, ironically, in Virgo, is saying that yes, we still need to keep things balanced. And that's very important because we can get washed away a little bit with the sensitivity of Pisces if we're not too careful. But there is a particular element of this particular lunation which is exciting, and that is that Jupiter is so close to the Sun and the Moon, so less than 2 degrees apart. So there's going to be a real uplift that's possible. So I think relationships can be boosted for a lot of us if we embrace the Pisces principles of being sensitive, being thoughtful, tuning into the atmosphere of how people are feeling, not necessarily expecting them to express things in words. And that can be something that's very beneficial, having Neptune and also Eros in a pretty close conjunction as well in the 7th house, which is very much about relating, very Venusian energy, very much like a Libra vibe. So tuning in diplomatically to others is boosted enormously by this event, but particularly with Jupiter, the feel-good planet, the planet of growth, and traditionally in astrology, the planet of good fortune. Now look at the top of the chart. In the 9th house we have Uranus. That's angling in a sextile with Jupiter and also the new moon. Uranus is about freshness, it's about innovation, it is about truth. In the 9th house it's about discovery. So discovery in our relationships by being more open-minded. There are a lot of polarized opinions in the world these days. And I think this chart is saying, look, let's celebrate the things we have in common, not just focusing on the things that make us different. Now on the 3rd of March, Venus, Mars and Pluto become exactly conjunct, which is an incredibly powerful influence. Now the sign of Pisces can be where we get an accumulative outcome from past actions. So it's almost like the karma. But the combination of Venus, Mars and Pluto points towards the potential for force to be applied, but in a way which is very leveraged. So Venus is used as the apparent narrative of why we're being forceful, but actually there are not such pure motives behind that deployment of force. So I think we have to be conscious that we can't be too idealistic, even though Pisces can be the sign of idealism, spiritual idealism. We have to be realistic. It is good, however, that the North Node does soften this combination of energies, as does Neptune. In a positive context, because of all the energies in the 7th house, this chart really talks of the potential to improve relationships by showing courage to demonstrate how we really feel, which would be that 5th house energy of Venus, Mars and Pluto. But we also have to accept that not everyone will necessarily welcome our overtures, whether it's in business or friendship or even romantically, and know that if that's the case, that we have to respect that. So the use of power needs to be applied proportionately, and I think the combination of Venus, Mars and Pluto And when I'm recording this, it's actually Mercury that's conjunct Pluto. So ideals can be permeated in a powerful way. This is why we're doing this. This is why we're adopting this particular attitude, because in some ways you have asked for this response. You know, classic manipulation. And of course Pluto can be very much about that, and Mars can be about desire, but it can be about force, and it can be about armed force. So we have to be realistic about the world that we're living in at the present time. It's not, you know, all going to be working at a spiritual level, unfortunately. You know, there are people with a lust for power that really crushes or can crush any kind of, even the most civil opposition. So we have to be aware of that. But if your situation at the moment is much more focused on how you're developing your life, you're trying to learn new ways of being, healing, growing and loving, this is a fabulous event for sure. However, you can also see that Mercury is very close alongside Saturn. Now Mercury is the ruler of the sign of Virgo, and in this chart it's in the 6th house, very Virgoan. And Saturn is the co-ruler of Aquarius, and Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. So in the 6th house, I think precision is going to be important, whatever we're doing, whether it's creative or that 5th house energy, relating, how we interact with others, or that energy in Pisces. Whatever we do, we need to make sure that the way we communicate is crisp and precise. That's absolutely essential. Now, please stay with me. I'm going to go on to describe the potential for each of the 12 zodiac signs for the next month, beginning with Aries. Well, for you, such a welter of energy in your 12th house is really asking you to reflect, but you do have that big block of energy in your 10th house, which is your sector of success. So your road to the boardroom could be best pursued at the moment with a degree of subtlety. It may be taking soundings, doing some market research, listening to how people feel, working behind the scenes, and that can take you to the summit of success. But there may be part of you that does want to withdraw a little bit, but with Jupiter in the mix, so much can be gained from that withdrawal. You can really learn to look at your situation and life in a different and more enlightened way. Jupiter does provide significant uplift here, and whereas physical energy can drop on a 12th house new moon, I think Jupiter's giving you some support in that regard, but it is saying don't scatter yourself too thinly, even if you are still wanting to take your works and professional situation very seriously. Taurus, for you, I do feel that March can be an awesomely positive month. As you come into it, Venus, your ruler, being supported in a very big way by Mars and Pluto in your sector of expansion, widening your horizons. In your sector of friendships, we have the new moon, and alongside it Jupiter. This gives you a lot of cause to be optimistic about the future, but with the North Node and Uranus in your sign, forging such brilliant alliances to both the new moon and that cluster of energies in Capricorn, what's not to like? Well, I think there could be some responsibilities around your professional situation over the next month, and that's because of that Mercury-Saturn conjunction. And maybe some of those are just teaching you about perhaps what you really want to do for a living, particularly if that's something that's been under a lot of thoughtful reflection for you. And the energy here is kind of saying, if you look outwards, connect to others, then the feelers you put out, the links you make, the friendships you have can be awesomely helpful over this next 4 weeks. Now, Gemini, for you, the new moon itself occurs in your sector of success. The cluster of energies in Capricorn is very much about money, and your desire to improve your financial lot, or even to get up close and personal to someone, is certainly very strong on the back of this event. But the new moon itself, of course, is lit up by the glittering array of energies there, not least with Jupiter. Jupiter about growth. Anything to do with you trying to reach a wider audience looks very well set and fair. Cancer. For you, The new moon is in your sector of travel, widening your horizons, higher education, anything to do with giving you a sense of adventure, excitement, and also spontaneity. So, you know, if there is an opportunity to do something without so much planning, you know, just an opportunity comes up, and with Uranus in the mix, it could happen very quickly. And it may be, look, someone's dropped out of this group trip, we're going to so-and-so, do you want to take their place? It could turn out to be an absolutely fantastic experience. But you do have that clustering of energy in the 7th house. And there could be some politics, therefore, around a relationship. And the 9th house energy in Pisces is asking you to be truthful with yourself about the real feelings you have for someone, or the real reason the relationship didn't work out or broke down. So there's a lot of compulsion to really grapple with how things really were. But it's possible with Mars and Pluto together that you could take a defensive, rather proud approach to a relationship matter. And I think the stars are basically saying to you, try to avoid that. Try to be as open as possible and as honest and as humble as you can be. And that actually can be very repairing for a relationship which has perhaps bumped along the bottom. Now, Leo, for you, obviously having Mercury conjunct Saturn in your 7th house means there could be some serious conversations about relationships. The gathering of energy in your 8th house, great for business, entrepreneurship. The 6th house, really positive for taking action to make changes. The 10th house energy with Uranus and the node feeding into these areas, it means that this does look very healthy for you. So if you're wanting to do better financially, you're wanting to start your own business, you wanted to redeploy the resources that you do have in a new and fresh way, even if they're limited, don't underestimate what you can achieve over the next month. Virgo, for you, this new moon occurs in your sector of relating, but you've been having an awful lot of extra positive energy augmenting your 5th house of romance. The 7th house is actually how we share and interact and collaborate and cooperate with people. And there's a lot to be gained by entering into as greater a spirit of give and take as possible. The 9th house energy of Uranus and the North Node is asking you to be really fresh and open-minded about the way you go about things. But your desire, if you are single and you'd like a relationship, your desire to meet someone can really increase over the next month. Which brings us to Libra. Now, Libra, for you, the energy in the sign of Pisces is very much about work, fitness, diet, nutrition, organisation, where you're of service to others. And I think having Jupiter on the sun like this can give your physical vitality a big boost. You also have your ruler Venus very close to Mars and Pluto in the 4th house, however. So there could be changes to where or how you live. In the family, those politics that we've spoken of so many times in recent years, they could be there. You've learnt so much. Someone could really ladle on the guilt with Venus conjuncting with Pluto. And with Mars, maybe you will push back. It just depends on your unique circumstances. Which brings us to Scorpio. The cluster of energy in the sign of Pisces is fabulous for you, demonstrating the whole array of your talents, flair and artistry. But it's also where you want to feel most passionate. So the things that give you a real sense of pleasure and involvement are the things that you can flourish with the next month. But with your 2 rulers exactly together in your sector of personal expression and everyday interaction, I think if you have thought about getting a new mode of transport, it's possible. Or if you do want to articulate some ideas that are important to you, you're going to do so with a tremendous amount of authority. The energy in your 7th house just says be conscious of how your actions are viewed by others. With Sagittarius, your ruler Jupiter conjunct the new moon is saying that you want to make some physical changes to your home. Or do you want more space where you live? Will you be buying? Will you be selling? Will you be adapting? All of it's possible, and all of it depends on your finances, I feel, with that energy of Venus, Mars and Pluto in your 2nd house. you probably will have a lot of desire to put every bit of energy you've got to achieve what really gives you the sense of peace, tranquility and comfort at home that you really want. If you're wanting to add to your family, having Jupiter very, very close to the new moon is a very good asset to have, which brings us to Capricorn. Well, for you, of course, the collection of energy in the sign of Capricorn is nothing new because they've been gathered together for some while. Certainly continuing to refine your personal appearance, having more confidence in the singular ideas you have, not so much just going through the processes in something that gives you a degree of satisfaction for being successful. I think you need to be successful with doing something that you're more personally invested in, and that usually comes from being creative. So if you're in a big organization, you're well respected, but it's actually just you're actually carrying out jobs that are being laid down for you, I think that will be much less engaging for you than doing something that's much more to do with expressing your talents and artistry. So that's a clue of the Capricornian energy. The Jupiterian energy is your interactions with others, improvements with ties with people immediately around you. There could be some healing around a relationship with a sibling. It's possible that you might write or publish something over the next month and it can receive plaudits. Now that brings us to Aquarius. Your financial sector really looks positive. Jupiter on the new moon is as good as it gets. You do also have the lesser benefit Venus in a conjunction with Mars and Pluto in your 12th house. Is it going to be that past efforts are going to reward you? Or is it your ability to psychologically understand your circumstances, help you to make the most in a physical way of your situation? It's really down to your unique circumstances. Your 4th house, still a bit unsettled because of Uranus, where you live, how you live there. But I feel that the more you can embrace the hidden or shadow side of your nature, the more you can flourish in the wider world. And that's what this new moon is saying. But for you, Pisces, it's a cracker. Having your ruler Jupiter in that wonderful alliance with the Sun and the Moon is as good as it can be. Having Neptune also in your sign really is a Pisces season bar none. This is fantastic, and that gathering of energy in your 11th house is where you can collaborate with others or really focus on your long-term future, with electricity and passion coming from Uranus pushing you to express your ideas, not hold back, be truthful. It really is a fantastic chance to feel recharged at the physical, emotional, psychological level, but also show to people over the next month what makes you absolutely fantastically you.